Hello, Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trauma Recovery University. My name is Athena Moberg, and I am your host, and this is my amazing co-host, Bobby Parrish. Tonight's topic is parenting as abuse survivors. Now, we have so much to unpack tonight. We might run a little bit long. If that's the case, just press the pause button and come on back, and we will always be here. I want to give a very special welcome to anyone tuning in on a podcast listening platform, such as iTunes or Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. I feel like I'm forgetting one of them. But if you are tuning in from a podcast listening platform, we do want to remind you that this is a video broadcast. You can find us on YouTube or Roku TV by typing in Trauma Recovery University. Now, just as a thank you for being one of our loyal listeners, viewers, or subscribers, we would like to give you complimentary access to our entire library of downloadable resources, and you can get that by going to traumarecoveryuniversity.com and then just click on the tab that says Downloadables. You'll be given immediate access to our entire library of downloadable PDF resources on all kinds of different topics. Now, as you'll notice when you go to YouTube or Roku TV, we have 40 or 50 hours in syndication of episodes of Trauma Recovery University. And the PDF downloadable resources that we want to give you complimentary access to all have a corresponding episode. So if you are getting access to our entire library of downloadable resources and you see one that talks about boundaries, you can simply go to our YouTube channel or our Roku TV channel, and you can look for the corresponding video for boundaries. So without further ado, I would like to turn this over to my amazing partner, Bobby Parrish. And before we do that, I really do want to give a very special welcome to all of the people tuning in live in other countries. We have an extensive audience in the UK and Canada and New Zealand and Australia. And we have some people in the Philippines, and I even had someone contact me from the Netherlands. So I know that we're growing, and we're very, very excited for each of you awesome, brave survivors. And we just really want to let you know how much we appreciate you and how much we're just grateful that you guys tune in live every single week and that we're able to reach you in a way that is meaningful. So without further ado, take it away, Bobby.
Hi, everybody. We're so thankful that you're here with us. Every time that you spend an hour with us, we don't take for granted, and we're really honored that you would choose to spend an hour of your week with us. I want to give a brief public service announcement for our anthology. And I keep this right by my computer to remind me of all the awesome things that we as survivors do. We are now accepting submissions for our 2015 version of our survivor anthology stories. This is last year's, 2014, Discovering True. This coming year, we're going to do the theme of discovering together in terms of how has joining with other survivors in community, whether just you meeting with another survivor or you meeting with many other survivors, how has it impacted your recovery journey and your healing? If you go to our website, traumarecoveryuniversity.com, there's a tab that says book. And if you click on that, it gives you all the information about sending us a submission. And submissions are open until the 1st of June. You can submit poetry, essays, nothing fiction. We're only accepting true stories, only nonfiction. And it gives you all the details about how to submit, how many times you can submit, which is as many times as you like, as long as each one has a separate entry, and more details about the editing process and publication. Our publisher is Book Trope out of Seattle, and we're so excited to be working with them for the first time this year. They're just an awesome publisher, and they will allow us to sell more than through Amazon like we did last year. So we're so thrilled, and last year's anthology was just amazing. So we're so excited to get your submissions and have an even more amazing anthology published this November. And the reason we publish in November every year is because November is No More Shame November, which is our international advocacy campaign for survivors of abuse. So we're very much looking forward to you sending in your submissions. If you have any questions, email us at nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. So without any further ado, we want to start talking about our topic. This morning's chat, for those of you who aren't familiar, we have 2 Twitter chats that we do each week, and then we have this live Google Hangout. On Monday at noon Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon my time here in the Central, we have our first Twitter chat of the week, and that is geared primarily towards our UK crowd because that hits them at 6 p.m. in the evening. And we also, anyone is welcome to attend. We have a lot of people from Canada and the US who tune in as well because they perhaps work in the evenings or they're home during the day and they participate. And then we have our Google Hangout, which is right now, that's what you're tuning into. And then on Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have our second Google chat, Twitter chat of the week. Sorry. And each have the same thing. They all have the same theme, and it's just sort of a progression of the topic. So this morning we talked about, for the first time this week, parenting as abuse survivors. And oh my goodness, was that a wild and crazy Twitter chat. It seems to be a topic that is just near and dear to so many people's hearts, whether they have children or whether they've chosen not to have children or they haven't had the opportunity to have children. It is probably one of the most popular topics that we get asked about, that we have people ask us to bring up and discuss. And so this morning, it was no accident, I know, that the Twitter chat was just absolutely crazy with comments, and they were just flying by. Every second was 5 or 6 different tweets. And I know that several people just said, I can't do this, I'm out, because it was just really hard to keep up with the flow of everything. But again, that's just reflective of how much power and emotion there is behind this topic. And I know that parenting is a difficult thing for us sometimes because it's not as if most of us had excellent parenting role models as children. And to be honest, that's a lot of the way that we learn how to parent is by watching how we were parented. And sometimes that means we learn what not to do, and sometimes that means we learn what to do. And of course, we get input from other things in our lives, but our experience as a child being parented has a powerful influence on the way that we parent our children. And so many of us become afraid of parenting because we didn't have good role models. Time and time again, as we've talked about topics over the last year, we've had survivors bring up their fear about repeating the mistakes that were made with them. When we talked about narcissism, we had people say, wait a minute, my mother was a narcissist. Do you think I'm a narcissist? I don't want to be a narcissist. I know what it was like to be raised by a narcissist. And we had to talk them through the process of identifying what is a narcissist so they can identify for themselves if they have those traits. When we talked about anger, and people were talking about how they had parents who had anger issues, angry outbursts, violent outbursts, physical, verbal outbursts, they were afraid that because that's what one of their parents was like, that's what they would become like. And so we carry so much fear and hesitation and doubt and questions about our capacity to be good parents because of what happened to us as children. And of course, we don't want to perpetuate that cycle of abuse. And we can't imagine doing the things to our children that were done to us. And yet I think for many of us, there is this niggling fear in the back of our head that maybe something crazy will happen and we will perpetuate some of that abuse. And so there are just, it's a layered layered, 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 deep issue for many of us. And you could see that in the chat this morning as people talked about their doubts and their fears. People talked about being triggered by their children in terms of things that their children would do that would remind them of their childhood. So it was very powerful. Some people talking about how they chose not to have children because they were so conscious of how perhaps they could make mistakes. And so they chose not to have children. Some people were saying, I chose not to have children. I'm choosing to foster. I'm choosing to adopt. I'm choosing to love my nieces and nephews. Just a really wide gamut of responses. Some people had already raised their children. Some of us are in the middle of it. Other people haven't even started that process yet, but they still remain having questions and having fears. So we want to talk tonight about this, try and unpack some of this for you, identify some of those fears, because we honestly believe, Athena and I are big believers in when something is a mystery, when we're just afraid of a nebulous thing, it makes it even more intimidating. It makes it more fearful. So let's look at it. Let's name it. Let's take it apart and try and figure out how we can get some of our questions answered, our fears addressed, and our concerns put to rest that we might become our mother or our father. We might become an abuser. We might perpetuate that cycle of abuse. So I want to go ahead and take you over to our one page. Again, you can find all of our one pages on our website, traumarecoveryuniversity.com. Tab that says downloadables. Click on that. It'll ask you to input your email address, and then boom, you'll roll over into all of our downloadables. And there are quite a few by now. So just scroll until you find the one that you want. And you are welcome to have access to any of them. Print them off, tuck them away in a binder so that when the subject pops up, you have that information readily available, because that is our goal. Our goal is to provide you with one sheet of information that gives you a little bit of education about the topic and then gives you actionable tips that you can take today to feel better. Both of us are survivors. We have certainly not reached the end of our recovery, but we know that being in the midst of recovery can be very hard and very painful. And sometimes you just want to feel better now. So we've worked really hard with our one pages to provide you with some steps that you can feel better right now. And so that's what we do. That's why we put those together for you, and just pop over to the website and find that. In the meantime, I'm going to bring up ours here, and I'm going to ask Athena for her thoughts and feelings about how chat went this morning while I bring up the one page.
Thank you, Bobby. I wanted to definitely agree with what you said about chat this morning. I did notice that it was one of the faster chats that we've had, fast meaning that it did seem like there were about 5 or 6 tweets every couple seconds, and it was definitely hard to keep up. When we see that that is what's going on, like in this topic of parenting, which was requested by all of you survivors, we get every single one of our topics from you. So when we ask you guys, hey, what do you want us to talk about? And then you send us all these emails and tweets letting us know, then that is how we get our topics. So I did notice this morning that it was a very fast moving chat. And I also noticed that there were probably more times than I've ever seen before the tweets that said, I thought that was just me. Me too. Me too. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that you're going through that as well. I can't believe that you have the same fears as I do. I thought I was the only one who was afraid to have children and decided to not have children. And I had no idea it was because of my abuse until later on in life. But I always had this deep knowing that I wasn't going to want to have children. And I think as survivors, we spend so much of our time second guessing ourselves, because during the abuse that we incurred, whenever we would try to speak up and say, this is what's going on, this is how I'm feeling, these things are wrong, I'm in pain, why are you doing that? Each time we were we followed our intuition and our gut instinct to say, wait a second here, what's going on? We were met with either rage or abuse or lies or what are you talking about? That's normal. Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with you. You should just be grateful. Or we weren't met with, oh, well, let's talk about how you're feeling about that. Tell me your concerns. So what do you mean you're afraid of that, or someone touched you or whatever? Tell me what's going on. And we were never validated and listened to, oftentimes, as children of abusive families. And so since that has been the norm, we grow up and we have this sort of knowing of like, wow, if I have a child, I'm afraid that they're going to feel the same way I felt because I don't have any skills at all to raise a healthy child. Because I was raised in such an unhealthy way, I'm terrified to have a child. And so I know that Bobby already touched on a lot of this stuff and mentioned it, but I just want to again tell you guys, the survivors, that you're not alone. I have very vivid memories of being right around 30 years old, I believe, maybe even just a little bit older. I just turned 41, but I remember it was not in the too recent past that someone asked me if I wanted to have more kids because my son was getting older and I was getting married, and it was, they just wanted to know, so you guys gonna have kids? I had this pit in my stomach regarding having more children. It was an irrational fear, and let me tell you exactly what that fear said to me. The fear that I had at that moment was, what if I used up all of my good parenting on my son? My son turned out so good. He's healthy. We have a great relationship. He has a wonderful life. He's married. He's doing well, or whatever stage of life he was in at that moment. What if that was all I had? What if I was given another child and I messed up that kid and I didn't have the right parenting for that child? I lucked out. I must have lucked out raising my son and having him turn out as well as he did. It couldn't have been because it was actually a skill and that I actually was really good at something. I had this deep knowing that I was flawed and that something bad would happen if I had another child. And there was a lot of those sort of tweets going around today during chat. And I just want to let you guys know that if you're watching, if you're listening, and you have felt a deep knowing in you that perhaps you used up all of your good parenting and you don't have any skills, you must have just lucked out. I just want to tell you that that's a lie. It is a lie, and you are a great parent. If you raised your children and you have an excellent relationship with them, or you've healed from some past stuff, or there are some things that you're still working through, but you're effectively communicating and your relationship is getting stronger and better, that's not luck. Those things don't just happen through luck. That means that you actually did your work and you have a skill. Those things don't happen on accident. So Bobby, I know you had the one page up and ready, and I just kept on talking for
No. I think what you said is really important because, yes, we had so many people this morning chime in with that magical, which I think is just a magical phrase, me too, and have it. Parenting is such a loaded issue for all of us that when we hear someone else struggles with the same thing, it just moves this weight off of our shoulders. And it was so wonderful to see that this morning. And I'm hoping that the more we talk about it, we talk about parenting and abuse, the more we'll see people go, oh, wow, okay, I'm not alone. And they'll hear us when we say, you're an awesome parent. You're doing great things. This morning, people were talking about, oh my goodness, someone was talking about how they had a child and they told their child, you don't ever have to sit on anyone's lap or kiss anyone or hug anyone that you don't want to. And how people didn't like that. Saying someone gave their child some money, and in exchange, not like, here, I'll buy a kiss from you, but like, here's some money. now will you give me a kiss, thank you? And the child didn't want to. And the person was like, hey, that's okay, you don't have to. So it was awesome to see them setting up standards like that for their parenting. And it is so cool for us to come alongside and be able to say to them, you know what, that's awesome. I know you have doubts about your parenting, but what you're doing right there, that's awesome. And we all need that. We all need that affirmation. I think especially those of us who are survivors, when, like you said, we got slapped down time and time again when we were kids. And so, you know, here we are trying to rebuild ourselves and trying to parent ourselves at the same time that we parent our children. And as people talked about that this morning, that can be very healing, but it also can be very challenging. Muy challenging.
Very challenging. And I do think that it is worth mentioning that there are people out there that have written to us and that we've had private discussions with that have struggled with the thought of having children literally their entire lives because of their child abuse, to the point that they've had abortions, to the point that they've gotten their tubes tied, to the point that they wanted to make sure that they were together with a partner that was sterile. They've had complete and total hysterectomies because they were convinced that they could never parent in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So I want to validate anyone out there that has a deep fear of having children because you are an abuse survivor. You are not alone. You are in great company with an amazing group of people that I happen to know personally, I being one of them, and my partner Bobby as well, and our huge community of incredible survivors. We have almost 15,000 people at this point that we have been in contact with. So you're in great company. You're not alone. It is an irrational fear, and we're not saying that you're irrational. We're saying that it is not a fear that bears any truth or any weight. That parenting is not luck. Parenting is a skill, and we have a one-page that we have studied and researched and composed for you so that you will have a cheat sheet on how to feel better at parenting right now, or making choices about being a parent as an abuse survivor right now. And Bobby can go ahead and bring that up. And I do want to mention something really quick, because I just realized that we are broadcasting this episode of Trauma Recovery University on one of our other YouTube accounts right now. And I want to just apologize for any confusion on this particular episode. By the time you watch this on Roku TV or on YouTube, everything will be all totally worked out. But for those who are tuning in live right now, I do want to send out an apology, and I'll go ahead and tweet out the proper link for you guys. So thanks for your patience for our little technical difficulties that we occasionally have, because this is live.
Yes, let me see if I can make this get big. Oh, let's see here. Oh, nuts.
What?
I don't know if I can do it.
You cannot?
Oh, it's thinking.
Oh.
Thinking.
That's okay. We're not in a rush. It can think. And it looks fine just the way it is. I mean, it does look better and great and awesome. Oh, look, it's working. It'll be there any second. I see our little watermark in the background of it. It looks awesome.
Can you?
I can see the watermark.
Oh, and yes.
And I haven't seen the words yet, but it's just thinking.
Oh, there it is.
Yay! Oh, it's coming. It's almost there. You can see I used a gnarly shadow on that one graphic.
Yes, you did. Wow, is it thinking? Okay.
I have so many layers to this graphic here. Like, there's so many layers that I do every week. But it's just a template now. That's okay.
So again, parenting is one of the most questioned and discussed subject matter amongst the survivors we work with. And obviously, from what we've talked about this already, and it is also one of the most emotionally loaded topics. As survivors of childhood abuse, it's understandable that we would have doubts because parenting and the role of a parent was an integral part of most of our abusive situations. Now, perhaps you were not sexually abused by one of your parents, but perhaps there was still emotional and verbal abuse in your family. Perhaps your mother or father did not want to hear you when you tried to talk to them about who was abusing you. Many of us, even if our parent was not the one who abused us, we still had questionable role models. So the greatest likelihood is that we learned what not to do than what to do from our parents. And then compounding that is a lack of knowledge about, compounding our lack of knowledge about parenting is a deep fear of repeating mistakes made by our parents, of inadvertently becoming like our parents, or of being completely incapable of parenting because we feel so damaged by our abuse. And because of that, like we said, some survivors choose not to have children. Others choose to have children and break the cycle, but we still have questions and concerns about how to do that. And I want to talk just for a minute about some of my personal experience here about becoming like our parents. My mother had mental health issues when I was growing up, and they were very challenging, and they were something that became the center of our family's life. It controlled where we went, how we traveled places, who we talked to. She struggled with anxiety and panic disorder, where we sat when we went to restaurants, where we sat when we went to the movie theater, if we had to leave the movies because it produced too much anxiety for her, or the volume was too loud. And I did not want to be like that when I became a parent. I did not want to have an issue that caused that I had my entire family's life revolve around. And when I was in my early 20s and I was first diagnosed with significant depression, it was my third episode of depression, but it was the first time that I ever got treatment for it. I was deathly afraid that I would become like my mother, that my mental illness, I would allow my mental illness to become the sun, and everything else would be the planets that had revolved around it. And then, I got it a little bit under control, but after my son was born, I had another episode of depression. And so I hid it, and I hid it, and I hid it, and I tried not to let it impact how I parented him. And yet, it's not always easy to hide it. And so it's been a balancing act of learning how to be honest with him. And he's older now, he's a teenager, so I can talk to him somewhat about how I'm feeling without letting it be a controlling factor in my life. So I understand when people come to me and they say, I'm afraid I'm going to have anger issues like my father. I'm afraid that I'm going to, have some narcissistic traits like my mother. I get it. I grew up with the fear that I would have a mental illness that would control my child's like my mother's controlled mine. And so it's all about learning. It's all about being honest with yourself and finding a balance. And it's all about being real. Okay, yes, I have an anger problem and I'm going to go get help for it. Or, yep, I have some character traits I don't like that I know negatively impact my child. I'm going to get help because I deserve it and they deserve it. So we understand, believe me, Athena and I are both parents. We're both parents of boys. Her son is much older than mine. Well, not much older, but her son's older than mine. He's launched. He's married. But believe me when I tell you that both of us get it, and we understand the fears and the concerns and the questions. And we just invite you to reach out to us, contact us by email, Twitter. We've got some Facebook support groups we can get you plugged into. You aren't alone, and you don't have to face your doubts and your fears about parenting on your own.
Yeah, it can be very, very scary, you guys, to navigate your way through the parenting world, especially if you are a lot of abuse survivors. And again, we are never, ever bashing your family of origin and trying to assume that we know everything about your upbringing. But many of you watching or listening right now, many of you grew up in a very isolated environment where you did not get a good peek at how other people lived. You only know the way that things went in your house. And all you know is you don't want your child's life to be like that one. So you don't have, it's almost like this is what I call it. I call it reinventing the wheel every single day for 18 years. I reinvented the wheel every single day. I didn't have that role model or that grid or that recipe. I sort of just knew I wanted it to be the opposite, and I needed to figure out what opposite meant. And so if that is you and you want to be in community with other people, and you don't know if you quite fit into the community of parents of the neighborhood that you live in, but you want your child to assimilate well and you want them to live in a healthy environment, but you just don't know what that looks like, reach out to other parenting groups online, reach out to us, and we'll share with you some of the things that we did. And if you have specific questions about certain parenting situations like puberty or mother-son relationships or father-daughter relationships, or launching into adulthood, empty nesting, the feelings that you have when you first find out that you're pregnant and you're terrified to have a baby because you don't want to raise it the wrong way. You don't want the child raised the way you were raised. And then again, that's not the case for everyone, but if that is you, you're not alone. We can help you. This is what we do. We are, I don't want to say we're experts, but we've done our hard work. We've walked through recovery. We've navigated the path. We've made a million mistakes, and now we get to know what works and what doesn't work, and all we want to do is share it with you. So reach out. Don't be shy. We love you unconditionally. You're welcome here. We're not going to judge you. Just ask a question. Email us, tweet us, private Facebook message us, whatever it is that you want. Leave a comment on this video. Give it a thumbs up. Contact us with whatever you need. We are here for you. So I just wanted to interject that, Bobby. I know that we're in the middle of the one page, but this is really touchy. This is touchy.
It is. And we get it, and we respect that. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, again, like Athena said, just reach out and let us know. That's what we're here for. To be the healthiest parent you can be, consider these tips and strategies. Educate yourself about parenting through classes, books, and online support groups. One of the best things you can do as a parent is empower yourself. And we talk about empowerment all the time because when you were a child, your power was taken away from you when you were abused. And we often don't learn how to get it back until we're adults. And one of the things that empowers us the best is educating ourselves. So educate yourselves about parenting through classes, books, and online support groups. Go to the library, go to Barnes & Noble and sit in the parenting section and read. Not everything is going to resonate with you. Not everything is going to sound right, and that's okay. People have different parenting strategies. Not everything is going to be a good fit for you and your style and your character. That's okay. Keep looking until you find something that does. Practicing good self-care is essential for all parents, but it is particularly important for survivors. Stay in therapy or in community with other survivors. Ask for help from your friends and family when you need it, and try to schedule regular breaks from parenting for yourself. I realize that this is easier said than done, especially the scheduling breaks part. Like, I don't have anybody right now who can give me a break. I don't live near family. I don't have any friends that have that capacity to be available. So, you know, my breaks are after he falls asleep in the middle of the night. You know, I can have an hour or two to myself. I homeschool, so there's no breaks during the school day. And it's hard, and I get it. But I do the best I can to get myself breaks here and now. One of the things that we talked about in chat this morning in terms of self-care is how it's sometimes easier for us to do something good for our children, but not for ourselves. And we talked about, you know, it's easier to give a gift for our child or see our child as having enough value to do something special for them. But we don't see ourselves as having enough value to do something special for ourselves. So if the motivation you need to practice good self-care is that it will benefit your child, then by all means do that. I guarantee to you that staying in therapy and being in a supportive community of survivors will benefit your child, because you will be a healthier, more whole, more happy person. So if you can't do it for yourself right now, then do it for your child. And that's okay. And eventually in your recovery, you will come to the point where you can do it for yourself. Surround yourself. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no. I just wanted to add to that, Bobby.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit heavy, but I want to mention something, okay?
Sure.
There was a lot of discussion today during chat about men and women alike saying that their child saved their life in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I want to be very, very, very clear that you're not alone if you have felt as an abuse survivor completely and totally in crisis. You wanted to give up. You just wanted to commit suicide and just let the pain be over with because you felt you felt completely inept and ill-equipped to parent another human being and be in charge of another human and have that sole responsibility of making sure that they turned out to be good and not like you see yourself. I just want you to know that you're not alone. And every single abuse survivor that I have ever spoken with or worked with that has a child has at one time or another wanted to give up and just die because the fear of having their child go through what they went through was so debilitating. You are not alone. It is okay if the only reason in the whole world you didn't give up is because of your child. Then I want to commend you, first of all, for being real with yourself and being transparent enough in your own mind and in your own life to know that that is really what was going on. And then I want to encourage you to reach out to other people like us who have been there, whether you need to get into one of our private secret Facebook groups, you need to join our membership that we're getting ready to launch, you need to go through some courses that we're going to have, you need some one-on-one time, perhaps some group coaching time, whatever it is that you need to do to feel more confident as a parent and not want to give up, that's what you need to do. I want to commend you and I want to encourage you.
Yep. I agree. And I know that there were many years when the only reason I chose to live was because of my son. And I'm thankful that I had him to motivate me to do that. It's not that way now. So I promise you, if that is you right now, if that is the way that you feel and the only reason you're choosing to live is because of your child, know that it will get better, and it can get better if you do your work. I promise you. If you do your work, you get the quality and the type of help that you need. It will get better, and soon you will find yourself living for yourself and able to be fully present and fully engaged a parent as you're seeking to be. I promise. The next tip, surround yourself and your children with healthy, loving people. Okay, here's another one of those things that many of us find we can't do for ourselves, but we can do because it's best for our child. We should eliminate toxic relationships from your life as they have a negative impact on ourselves and our children. I can't tell you how many survivors I've talked to who, before they had children, knew that the relationship they were in with some of their family members was toxic, but they couldn't bring themselves to break it off. But then when they had children and they saw how that toxicity was affecting their children, they were able to say, oh no, not going there anymore. I will not expose my children to this kind of nastiness. And they set a boundary. And they either chose not to have contact with those family members anymore, or they chose only to have contact with them within a certain context. So absolutely set boundaries with people who are toxic, because that is one of the best things that you can do for your children, is to shelter them from the kind of toxic relationships that you were not sheltered from as a child. Okay, the next thing is keep your daily life as stress-free as possible.
It's that's hilarious. Sorry. I just have to just say what everybody's thinking right now. Because everybody out there is going, yeah, right. Stress-free. What does that even mean? Hello. Life equals stress. Okay, yes. Carry on. Sorry.
You know, what I was thinking about when I put this together was, you know, how, like here in Texas where I am, after school sports are just huge. You know, you are not a good parent unless you are carting your child hither and fro from cheerleading practice to football practice to soccer practice, all those after school activities, and it's stressful. So to the extent that you can, decrease the number of moving parts in your life. Believe me when I tell you that your child does not have to be signed up for every extracurricular activity and sport to be a happy, well-rounded, well-adjusted child. I promise you. So, you know, okay, so they're going to do one. Maybe they'll do one each season. Maybe they'll do one a semester. But don't jam-pack that family schedule to the point that from 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, you're running. Because I think what you'll find happening is you will find yourself running ragged. And again, the best you for your children is a healthy you. So if running hither and fro and managing all these different things is not healthy for you, then it's not healthy for your children. Instead, I'm going to skip a bullet here. Jump down to play with your children. Okay, so your child is not going to be a tennis star this year. But that doesn't mean that in the evenings you can't play with your kids and have quality family time. We didn't get to play a lot when we were children, many of us, because of the abuse that we were going through. But you know what? We can play now. And we can play games, we can play board games, we can play outside, ride bicycles, blow bubbles, you know, get the slip and slide out, whatever that is. Play with your children. Have fun with them. Experience that joy that you didn't get to have when you were a child. And then right back up above that is getting adequate sleep. I know this is hard as a parent, especially if you're a single parent and there's not someone who can swap nights with you. But not sleeping, not getting adequate rest is a huge trigger for us. And you'll see things bothering you even more than they wouldn't normally. And for those of us who have mental illness issues because of our abuse, like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, all of those will worsen when we don't get adequate sleep. Because I struggle with depression, I really have to safeguard my sleep. Because when I don't get adequate sleep, my depression will roar up like crazy. Again, it's not easy, especially when your children are little. My son did not sleep through the night until he was 6 years old. Good golly Molly, about to have liked to have killed me because of the lack of sleep that I was getting. And I did not have a spouse who was willing to help. So I get it. I know it's hard. But do the best you can. Take a nap during the day if you can. Talk to your pediatrician about sleeping schedules. Whatever it is that you can do to get the sleep that you need to, I support you in doing that. Absolutely. You need sleep. Okay. Engage in physical activity with your children. And I talked about that a little bit when we talked about play. But remember that cardio activity, if you have just 15 minutes of cardio activity, it will cause your brain to put out chemicals that will increase your mood. So go on bike rides with your kids, play soccer in the park with your kids, play tennis with your kids, run around on the playground, play tag, whatever it is that you want to do as a family together that's a physical activity, then do it. You don't have to do it for long, just 15 minutes. But if all of you can pile out of the house in the evenings and do something outside, or jump on the Wii, do Wii dance, or do one of the sports games. Whatever it is that you need to do to get that heart rate up for just 15 minutes will benefit you, and it will benefit your kiddos because they get that same chemical boost and that mood elevation. And the last one is allow yourself timeouts. I love timeouts. They're an excellent parenting strategy, but they're also an excellent self-care strategy. And I advocate for parents, whether you're a survivor or not, I advocate that you learn how to take timeouts for yourself and how to teach your children that timeouts are a useful strategy outside of discipline. Okay, so your child is getting on your last nerve, you're about ready to lose your cool. It's okay to say, you know what? Mom needs a timeout right now, or dad needs a timeout. I need 5 minutes. I'm feeling really stressed. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I don't want to say anything to you out of anger. So I'm going to take 5 minutes to gather myself together, and I'll be back. Then go in your bedroom, go in the bathroom, shut the door, whatever you need to do. Of course, given that your children are in a safe place and they're in a safe space and they're going to be okay for a few minutes, gather yourself together and then come back to it. Because I guarantee you that if you use this skill, that your children will know how to use it too. And, you know, if I'm 49 years old and still taking timeouts for myself, then I know that my son sees that it's a good skill that he can apply to his life throughout any part of his life. And here's the pro tip, and we talked about this morning in chat. Not every parenting struggle is because you're an abuse survivor. Sometimes it's just normal parenting stuff. And I know that I have, let's see if I can get this to go away now. I have sometimes gone to people and I've said, okay, I'm struggling with this as a parent. Is this something every parent struggles with, or is it just because of my personal issues? And I've had to ask that. I've asked my therapists things like that, you know, for a good decade, because I don't always know. I can't always tell the difference. But it's always important to realize that maybe it's just normal parenting stuff that every parent goes through. It's not always something that we can lay at the feet the feat of our being a victim of childhood abuse.
Yes.
So don't hesitate to ask.
I want to add to that.
Yes.
I want to jump in and just high five you, and just, of course, this is another one of those Me Too moments, because you guys, if you are not in community with other survivors that are affirming, you will never have reflected back to you the amazing person that you really are. We mentioned this in chat, and I'm going to mention it again. Every parent in the entire world doubts themselves. Every parent in the entire world questions whether or not they are screwing their kid up. It's not only the abuse survivor that didn't have a healthy role model. There are people out there that grew up in Leave It to Beaver households and Ozzie and Harriet households, and they are wondering if the choices they make on how they communicate with their children, the rules they have, the disciplinary schedule they have in their home, whether it's timeouts or taking away their activities, electronic devices, activities, taking away their privileges. You are not alone. Any question and any doubt that you have in your own ability has very little to do with your abuse, and it has a lot to do with the fact that you are human. And so I just want to encourage you, all the doubts that you're having. There are times when Bobby and I will be in the middle of a work day, and we work virtually just like this, the way you and I are looking at each other right now, like in the camera, like you're seeing me and I'm seeing you. That's how Bobby and I work. She's in Dallas, Texas. I'm in Hawaii. And we'll stop what we're doing and we'll go, okay. Am I crazy? Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. I need you to tell me right now that this is not me, and that it's just, I mean, right before we went live and we were in the green room, I had a moment with a client. I'm like, Bobby, is it just me? I need to know if this is me. And I had to have her objectively reflect back to me what it was that is the truth of the situation. It is because we are human, not because we are flawed. And to go further, if we weren't flawed, we wouldn't be human. And it's beautiful. Your flaws are amazing, and it's what makes you who you are. And sometimes you feel ashamed of your flaws because you feel that they're because of your abuse, or it was because someone did something to you, when in all actuality, it just makes you uniquely you, and you just aren't comfortable in your own skin yet. And that's okay. We never arrive. We just want to support you, and we want to affirm you, and we want to invite you in to an affirming community of survivors that will acknowledge your shortcomings and your questions and your concerns and your confusions, and go, oh, well, it's just all a mixed bag. We all have those same feelings. It's totally not you. Oh my gosh. And then instantly the shame disappears. Instantly you feel encouraged. Instantly you feel strong and brave. And that may sound like a pipe dream to some of you because you've never been in community with other survivors. You've never even dared to think of telling another person what was done to you, who touched you, who raped you, who abused you, who molested you, who sodomized you. Whatever happened, you've never even uttered the words. And we're here to tell you, it's okay. You're not alone. You can tell someone, you can tell us. It's safe. And we're not going to ostracize you, blame you, doubt you, shame you. All we're going to do is welcome you into our community of amazing survivors, support you, encourage you, and allow you to stay with us as long as you want. So I just wanted to touch on that, Bobby. I know that we're going a little bit over time, but this is the subject of parenting is something I've been passionate about for a very, very, very long time. I started taking parenting classes and reading parenting books from the time I was pregnant with my son. So I've been at this for 22 years. My son's going to be 23 years old. So I honestly thought that every problem I ever had, once I realized that I was abused and that it wasn't just normal, that I was completely flawed and screwed up and that I could never be good enough. I could never be a good enough parent ever because I wasn't raised in a good environment. And that is just crap. It is complete bull. It's a lie. And I do have the ability to be an amazing mom. I got the most incredible Mother's Day card ever. And if you've never received an incredible Mother's Day card yet, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not an amazing parent. It just means that no one's ever affirmed you. And perhaps you just need to educate yourself. the more education you have in parenting, and the more you reach out and watch videos and read PDF resources, or do different things that are going to fill you up with knowledge of things that you don't know yet, the more you're going to feel powerful and equipped and competent. So we want to do that for you. We want to help you do those things. And I'll get off my soapbox and turn it back over to Bobby.
I like your soapbox, and I think it's important that people understand and have that perspective. Because if there's one thing that our abuse did not do for us, it's give us a good capacity to have perspective. Because we were, like you said, many of us were so isolated, we only got one side of the story. And that side of the story was that everything was our fault and nothing will ever be good. And we'll never be able to be good. So, yeah. I want to touch on just one more thing before we share our contact information and the schedule. This morning, many people talked about how sometimes their children do things that are triggering for them. And I want to just kind of bring that out in the open for a little bit in case you're a parent and sometimes your children do things that you have a visceral reaction to, or a very strong reaction, and you don't know why. I want you to look at the possibility that your children are doing something that perhaps triggers you. And it's not their fault. They're children. They're going to do things. I just want you to be aware of that possibility so you can recognize and take good care of yourself. And this is a hot button issue for me because I have gone through it like crazy in the last several weeks. My son has been in a lot of pain because he needed some dental surgery. And there have been moments of just horrible, horrible, horrible life here in this household because he has been in so much pain, and to the point where he was begging me to kill him because he was in so much pain. And I was so triggered, crawling out of my skin, wanting to climb out of my own brain, triggered for several reasons. Because when I was a child, I was taught never to complain about anything, never to talk about being in pain, whether that was physical or emotional pain, and certainly never to call attention to yourself. And so when he was in so much pain, and bless my son's heart, I have a relationship with him where he shares openly about what he's thinking and feeling, meaning that he shared his pain very openly. And as a mother, I'm proud of him that he could do that. As a child, who went through abuse and who was told at all times to sit down and shut up and never call attention to yourself, it triggered me like crazy because he was doing exactly what I had been raised not to do. And I had been taught that if I did those things, horrible, terrible things were going to happen. And so as much as I loved him and I wanted him to express himself, inside my head there was this, oh no, be quiet, please. Please, please, please be quiet. Something really bad is going to happen if you are not quiet very, very soon. And it also triggered me because, like I talked about earlier, my mother had her mental health issues. And her mental health issues dominated our family life for many years. And so here was my son in incredible pain. And literally for 2 weeks, our lives revolved around trying to manage his pain. And it felt to that child inside me like going through what I went through with my mom. And so it was very triggering. I felt very powerless. I felt like I was right back in that awful, awful spot. And so I know what it's like. And we did it. We survived. We made it through the surgery. He's feeling so much better. But I just want to let you know that it is possible that our children, through not because they're mean to or they're not trying to, our children can trigger us with their behavior. And it's not something they're doing intentionally. It's just part of their being a child and expressing themselves. So if you experience this, know that you aren't alone. Know that others of us have experienced this, and it is a thing. And so take care of yourself. Reach out for help and support when you feel triggered by something that your children do. Certainly don't place blame upon them. Know that this is just part of the healing process for us as survivors, and get some extra help and extra support from other people during that time. Take your timeouts. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But know more than anything that you are not alone. And all you have to do is send us an email saying, my child is doing something that triggers me so badly, and we'll know what you're talking about. So I wanted to put that out there because I think it's something that we don't often talk about as survivors. And I know that no one in my healing journey ever told me, hey, your child could trigger you. It was really eye-opening for that to happen to me, and to know that I'm not a bad person because my child triggers me.
Yeah, and I think that it's worth mentioning, Bobby, the reason why our children trigger us, and this is probably just adding on or touching, sort of butting up against exactly what you just said. The reason why our children trigger us as abuse survivors is because the behaviors that they embody, the behaviors that they have and that they are experiencing and that they give to you as part of their relationship with you, those behaviors are sometimes the exact behaviors that you were beaten or yelled at or had very violent things happen to you because you acted that way. And so, of course, you have this deep, 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 subconsciously probably somewhere way back here that you don't even know what's going on, way back here, okay? For instance, if your child is complaining about something or doing something that you were never allowed to do, or you would have gotten beaten, somewhere deep down, you are reminded way back here that when you said that, when you responded that way, you got the crap beat out of you. And so all of a sudden, you're like frozen in time with your child, and you're like, you either rage out at them and then go, oh my gosh, what was I just doing? I just became my mother. I just became my father. Oh my gosh, I just became my stepdad, whatever. And then you shame yourself, and then you guilt yourself, and then you feel ill-equipped to be a parent, and then the cycle starts over, and then you wish you could die. You just want to give up, but you can't give up because who's going to take care of your kid? It's those little behaviors that can feel big because you weren't allowed to put together a jigsaw puzzle. You weren't allowed to color with crayons. You weren't allowed to sit and just play with free time. Perhaps you weren't allowed to say, I don't want that. I don't want that broccoli. I don't want that food. What you were told was, well, you should just be grateful you have some food. You better eat it. So then if you catch yourself, your initial response might be to respond the way you were responded to. And then in that moment, the cycle starts all over again. You shame yourself, you guilt yourself. I can't believe I've turned into my parents. I knew I wasn't going to be a good parent. Oh my gosh, my child's going to be ruined forever. They're going to turn out just like me, and I'm bad. And all of that is natural, normal, and it's also a lie. But you're not going to be able to navigate your way through those situations unless you're in community with other survivors that are parents dedicated to raising their kids in a healthy way that is non-abusive. So we can't say it more clearly and more repetitively. Please reach out. Nothing that you are triggered by or nothing that you are reactionary about, nothing that you are lost and spinning about is so big that we can't help you navigate that path. There's absolutely nothing. I literally have been in a situation with my child where he was struggling with bullying, and I was bullied horrifically, like to the point where I was bullied and molested and raped and had my clothes ripped off of me, and people just stood around laughing at me while I was naked. Horrifically bullied. And when my son was bullied and just wanted to die, and he was just like literally wanted to die because he was being bullied, it was so triggering for me. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But I'm telling you, you guys, you will be equipped with everything you need to be a good parent as you trust yourself to reach out to other people that are navigating the path that you want to be on. Abuse survivors trying to parent their kids in an opposite way that's non-abusive is not this, hey, everybody, let's talk about chocolate. Let's talk about vacation. Like, it's not something that everybody talks about. This isn't like a common banter.
Not a household conversation.
No, there's no talk show out there called, hey, are you an abuse survivor and trying to raise your kids? Like, this isn't something that people talk about. So anyway, we're probably going to have to do a whole nother episode that is specifically on triggering behaviors, or if you were blank and your kid does this, or we're going to have a course. We're getting ready to do a course outline tomorrow on all these 5 different courses that you're going to be able to click, and it's just going to come to you. You could do it in your own time. We're not even sure the price of the courses yet. So maybe you guys could tweet us, or my hair's in my mouth, sorry. Maybe you guys could email us, tweet us, message us, let us know if you could take a parenting course that would help you navigate the way to healthy parenting when you don't know how to healthy parent because you were raised in an abusive environment. How much would that course be worth to you? How many modules would you have it be? Would it be pregnancy to age 5 to 10, 10 to 20? Like, would you want it to be how to raise a boy, how to raise a girl? What do I do with puberty? Mother-son relationships, father-daughter relationships. What would you like the course to look like? You guys have designed everything. You designed our website. We just listen to you and we do what you tell us to do. So we're doing course outlines tomorrow for modules. We're getting our membership site up and going. The next several months moving into 2016 are going to be really transformational, and we're going to be doing some different themed videos. Bobby's going to be doing some videos on her own. I'm going to be doing some on my own on totally different angles of the way different things are looked at, but it's all complementary to us being abuse survivors, navigating through life in a healthy way. So just tell us what you want. What do you want the course to be? How much is too expensive? How much would you pay for a course like that? Every time I ask somebody how much they would pay for something, they would say, I would pay $1,000. And I'm like, you're just saying that because I'm not charging you $1,000. Like, how much would you really pay? Would you pay $200? Would you pay $300? Would you pay $500? Would you pay $10? Like, what is it that you guys want? What types of resources? Because we're going to do what you want us to do, because that seems to be working. We're doing what you want, and that seems to work. Huh, Bobby, right?
It works, yeah.
It seems to work, because when we do things and we just try to invent them on our own, we don't know what we're doing. But then you guys give us some direction. We're like, oh, and then it blows up. We have like 300 views on YouTube and the Roku TV thing. We get all these 5-star reviews. So we're just going to keep doing what you want us to do. We're sick of trying to figure it out on our own. It's kind of like parenting. So yeah, we look forward to connecting with you. This is a little bit different of an episode for us. This is very emotionally charged for a lot of people, and we're really, 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 really passionate about this. So thank you. What do you think, Bobby?
I agree. Reach out and let us know what you want. What would a course look like? How many chapters or modules would it have? What kind of information do you need? What do you need in order to feel like a confident, well-equipped parent? Let us know, and we will put together what we can to make that happen. I want to put up our contact. Actually, let's do our join us every week.
I need to redo these. I really need to redo these, because I know that they don't have all the information that they should have, and the other one doesn't even match our branding, and I just want our branding to all be beautiful. So
let's look at this one. This is our schedule. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I want to go over it with you again. On Mondays, is our Twitter chat that's primarily geared towards our UK audience, but anyone can show up. And that the hashtag is CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time in the UK. And then on Monday nights, if you look over on the right side of the screen, here you are with us on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday for the UK peeps. And then Tuesday evening is the original Twitter chat. Sex Abuse Chat is the hashtag, and that is at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And that's at 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays for the UK people. And you can watch any of these episodes anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our YouTube channel or on our Roku TV channel. Reach out to us if you want to join one of our private secret Facebook groups. And pretty soon, like Athena said, we're going to be starting a membership site, and those groups will migrate over to the membership site. So get in touch with us. Let us know if you'd like to join, and we will do what we can to get you plugged in. And so
I wanted to add something. I wanted to let people know about something, because as survivors, we don't like the carpet ripped out from underneath us. And you and I have talked about this, Bobby.
Yes.
Okay, so we want to make sure you guys know that we have done mostly everything that we do for you guys has been complimentary. And we love working for you guys. We love showing up every week and doing everything we possibly can for you, because you represent us, and we wish someone would have done that for us. And so that you are the reason we do everything we do. That being said, we have been volunteering our time, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of time for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. We've been about a year and a half. We've been really volunteering. We don't get paid to do any of this. We don't have some magic fairy in YouTube land that pays us. Like, some people have a YouTube channel and they actually make money from it. Like, that's not something that we have yet. So we're not saying we need you guys to pay our bills, but we're saying if you guys would somehow just tell the world what it is that we're doing, so that we can get some sort of more hefty sponsorships. We have some people that have contacted me, and they want to start paying a little bit every month here and there if they get an opportunity, like if they have extra or whatever, and that's really awesome. And Bobby and I are professionals, and we take one-on-one clients and we do coaching for people, and that's great. But to the degree that we want to be available for you, we need to have a more steady income. Otherwise, we're going to have to put everything that we've done into syndication and not do any new episodes for quite some time while we focus on the financial side of our business. So that being said, we are shifting into more of like a membership site model. Please ask us to join one of our private secret Facebook groups now for free, before it is a monthly charge to be in contact with us and be in community with other survivors. Please just reach out and get every free resource you possibly can from us, because as of right now, of watching this video that you're watching, everything that we have given you is complimentary. You have complimentary access to our entire library of downloadable PDF resources by going to our website, nomoreshameproject.com, traumarecoveryuniversity.com. Click on that tab that says downloadables. Bam. You have an entire library of 30, 40, 50 different pages of downloadable resources. That's all free. Podcasts, videos, everything's free. We are shifting into more of a paid model, because it's foolish for us to be having an audience grow from 0 to like 15,000 and then just decide to just be a volunteer forever. It doesn't make any sense for anyone. Bobby can't raise her son and provide for his oral surgery. I can't pay my bills and travel and go and do conferences and keep the lights on and all that. I live in Hawaii. Everywhere that everybody lives is expensive. So again, I'm probably on a soapbox and I'm telling you things that you guys already know. We're not going to show up tomorrow and say, oh, we duped you. Now it's time to pay us for everything. pay up. That's not what we're going to do. We wanted to just plant the seed, let you know we're humans, we're real, we have families, we have bills, and we're going to be moving more into a paid model, and we're going to have different sources of paid areas of what it is that we do. In order to keep providing you with these complimentary services of our videos and downloadable resources and all the stuff that we already have been doing, please just tell your friends, tell 1 million people, click the like button on the video, leave us a review on Roku of however many stars you think that we deserve. But we love you guys. You're the reason we wake up every day. We're like literally excited to wake up because we know that we're going to have an email from you guys or a voicemail or something. So we have some other podcasts that we're working on. We have one that we've been documenting our entrepreneurial journey. It's called EntreTalk. And we've been building that Roku YouTube channel so we could launch it onto Roku. And Bobby has an incredible podcast that she's getting ready to launch. It's called Both Sides of the Desk. Being a mental health professional that struggles with mental illness, she's an entrepreneur by day, and at the same time, she has struggled with mental illness. She's a single mom. She's a helping professional, but at the same time, she struggles just like everybody else. So that's an awesome podcast that's going to be coming up. And then I have some different things I'm working on as well. But you'll always be able to find us at athenamoberg.com and bobbyparish.com. And I just wanted to plant the seed. I know that we didn't really rehearse this or anything, Bobby. We never rehearse anything. But
we never rehearsed anything.
We're always just live, sort of off the cuff. But hey, Bobby and I talked in the green room before this episode. And, I said to her, Bobby, I don't want to be any type of a square peg in a round hole, not for 1 minute of my life, ever, 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 ever. We have all these opportunities coming our way. We have people offering to broadcast our episodes if we'll just shorten them up a bit, or if we'll just cut this out, or just do it this way, or maybe don't mention it that way. And we've been trying to jump through hoops to help people to spread the word of what it is that we're doing. And I'm just not going to do it anymore. I just can't. This is me. In all my silliness, ridiculousness, whatever, with balloons and whatever, and sitting here with Bobby and my little pink phone. And, and Bobby, we talked about this in the green room. We're just going to show up just like this every single week. And we're not going to try to jump through any hoops for anybody else. And we're going to do this as long as we possibly can until we can't afford to do it anymore. So if you know anybody that wants to sponsor our show, have them send us an email. We have a specific website for people that want to sponsor us. It's called lifeafterabuse.info. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to do this as long as we possibly can, because it's a privilege to be here in your computer, in your land with you. And I just love working with you, Bobby. You're just my favorite ever. And
thank you, sweetie.
Can you comment on everything I just said and just maybe share your heart? And I know we're long on time right now, but you know what? This just needed to be said. We can maybe have Harriet we'll have her cut it into a couple different videos or something.
Well, I think the reality is that we have grown from having, just 100 people to having a community of 15,000. And when our community was small, it didn't take that much time to reach out to people and to connect with people. But now that we have a community of 15,000 and growing, from South Africa and New Zealand, I Skyped with someone in New Zealand just last week, all the way up to, Alaska, that takes more time. But we can't afford to devote 40 hours a week to something that doesn't pay us. We just can't. And so we are looking for ways to monetize what we do so that we can be available to as many people as possible in a way that is as affordable as possible. And so we have brainstormed. Believe me, this has been very heavy on our hearts for the last couple of months, as we have reached that tipping point where working with so many people requires so much time, and yet we have to spend time making money at this, and paying our bills. It's gotten to the point now where we need to be able to have, if this is what we're going to do full time, which is what we want to do full time, we need to be able to monetize it some way. So yes, a membership site is the model that we're going to be working toward in terms of we'll always do our Google Hangouts here. They'll always be free. They'll always roll over to our Roku TV channel. We'll always have our YouTube channel. We'll always do our Twitter chats. Those will always be free. But some things are going to go only to members who pay to be a part of our subscription site.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna have paid areas. Like for instance, let's say you're on, like Bobby, like let's say people are on our YouTube channel, and then they see things that we're talking about, and we're like, oh, well, if you want to access that and you want a discount code or whatever, then you can go here and get your discount code, and you can purchase that. But we're not going to stop doing our free stuff. But like on Roku TV, you have the opportunity on Roku TV where we can still offer everything we do for free, and then we can have paid, like if you like this, you'll love this, and then you can click there, and they'll be able to purchase it. So
right.
we're gonna have paid aspects of the already amazing awesomeness that you guys love about us. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Without sounding like full of myself.
Yes, and as we start to offer things like paid courses, those who belong to the membership site will get discounts. As we offer more conferences, those who belong to the paid membership site will get discounts to those conferences. The people who are paid members will have access to videos and downloadable files and ebooks that people who are not part of the membership site will not. Athena and I will start offering office hours, where, okay, I'll be available on the website from 5 to 6 on Friday. Drop in, ask me any questions that you need. That's what we're here for. We'll help you out, instead of, as it is now, where, we have 15,000 people who want to get a little bit of information. And so we'll just start funneling them through the membership site. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know, to reach out to us. And it's not something that we're talking about, charging $100 a month for either. We realize that some of you don't have a lot of financial resources, and we want to make it as affordable as possible. But at the same time, yeah, we have to pay our bills too. So let us know how that resonates with you. And in the meantime, we'll keep making our plans, and we'll let you know every step of the way what's happening.
Yeah. We always want to make sure that you guys know that our priority is to remain in integrity with ourselves. We talk a lot about congruency and remaining in integrity with ourselves in every way possible. And as Bobby and I navigate this path of life, knowing that in our deepest core of our being, with every ounce of ourselves, we desire to wake up and just serve you. That's what we want to do. If someone was like, here, let me just write you a check and you're good for the year, go serve as many people as you possibly can and do whatever you can, we'd be like, are you kidding me? This is awesome. That would be like Disneyland Christmas, heaven, hallelujah. I mean, that would be amazing. I would love that. That was good. That was good. I just made that up. But to be honest, you guys know our hearts. I know that you're not doubting our integrity, but again, it's those things that we have, those niggling things inside of us who are like, ooh, we know what it's like to get the rug ripped out from underneath us. Oh, they said that they're there for us, but now they want to charge us all this money. And money is such a delicate issue. Again, one of the most popular topics that we've ever had here on Trauma Recovery University is talking about money and shame, and why it's a source of shame for abuse survivors, because we don't have very, very many relevant practical skills that were taught to us in our family of origin sometimes, if your abuse did happen in your family of origin. So thank you for listening to us and for bearing with us as we recorded this on a different channel, and we're working it all out. I already have contacted Harriet. Look, we've been emailing back and forth the whole time, Bobby. Oh my gosh. So she's on it. Thanks for just your awesomeness and your support, and for encouraging us to just be ourselves and to show up authentically us each and every week, and for all your emails and your tweets and your voicemails and everything. You guys are just incredible. You're the most incredible community of people I've ever met in my entire life. So I'm privileged to be a part of it, and especially with you, Bobby. And we're gonna just continue to do this thing. We're gonna do it, and we're getting ready to start
find our way.
Yeah, we are
with each other.
With each other and with you guys. And as we were discussing in the green room right before this episode, we are getting ready to, as Bobby mentioned, start some office hours. And Bobby wrote an incredible article. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go to rachelintheoc.com and look in the archives for the article that Bobby wrote. And it's all about how survivors, it's time to start healing ourselves. And it's all about this global movement of people showing up and sort of supporting one another, not in like a 12-steppy sort of a way, but showing up to support one another when in between those appointments. It's like
right in between your therapy appointments.
Yeah, or you're
lucky enough to have them.
Yeah, if you go to therapy, if you have a counselor, if you have a coach, in between all of that, supplement your health by being involved in community with other affirming survivors. It is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give yourself, and one of the greatest gifts you can give to other people. So we're going to be launching that Facebook group, and we're going to be, I already bought a website. I was inspired, and I bought a couple of domains for adult survivors of child abuse in the state of Hawaii. So if you are in the state of Hawaii and you're an adult survivor of child abuse, email me, Athena@athenamoberg.com, or go to our website and just click on the contact tab, and it'll just show up in our inbox. NoMoreShameProject@gmail.com. And go to bobbyparish.com and read her blog posts, you guys. Subscribe to her blog and look at all of the amazing things she's doing. Psych Central, you name it. You guys, we just love you. Thank you. Yeah. What do you think, Bobby? Anything else?
Absolutely no. I think we've
ran really long
filled
today.
up their inboxes.
We have. You guys are so awesome. All right. Well, we're going to sign out, guys. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.